Some of the most challenging questions you're going to get asked in your Culver's interview are behavioral interview questions. They're incredibly popular and they're incredibly difficult to answer. In today's video, I'm going to give you some of the actual questions they ask in your Culver's interview, and I'm going to teach you how to answer them. Now, this is video 2 of a 4-part series. So this is the first video you are seeing. Make sure you go to the playlist and watch the first video. And stay around to the very end, because at the very end, I will launch the next video right here on the screen so you can go seamlessly from video 2 to video 3. If you watch all 4 of these videos, I can guarantee you will interview better than 99% of the candidates at Culver's. Let's go. Okay, so first and foremost, what is a behavioral interview question? A behavioral interview question is essentially a question where they ask about something that happened in the past and they want you to walk them through how you behaved. And these are incredibly popular, but they're very difficult to answer because it's hard to recall a situation from the past and also effectively walk people through all the relevant information, all while seeming like a great candidate. Now, whenever you're asked one of these questions, you can tell you're being asked because you'll hear the words, "Tell me about a time when." Can you give me an example of a time when? Time when is a pretty big indicator that you're being asked a behavioral interview question. And when you're asked a behavioral interview question, you want to use the STAR method. Now, the STAR method is an acronym that's going to help you answer these questions in an effective way. And it stands for situation, task, action, result. Situation, where were you working? What was the role? Task, what was the thing you needed to do, the problem you needed to solve, etc. Action, what did you specifically do? And R, result, what was the outcome here? What ended up happening? And sometimes, when it makes sense, throw an L on the end for lesson. All right, with that being said, let's get to the actual questions. Now, the first question is, tell me about a time when you went above and beyond for a customer. This is a classic customer service type question. If you were interviewing for a customer-facing role, this is a question you will likely get. It is very popular, it's very common. And when you think about the way Culver's treats their guests, the people who come into the store, it's no surprise you're going to be answering a question like this. Now, you need to do a few things when you're asked this question. 1, use the STAR method, situation, task, action, result. 2, you need to give them an example that is truly above and beyond. If you give them an example where your example basically just is you doing whatever job you had at the moment and doing nothing special, it doesn't check the box here. It makes them feel like you never go above and beyond for a customer. So it truly needs to be something that is outside the scope of your job. The next thing you need to do, the third and final thing, is there needs to be enthusiasm through this. So when you're telling the story, it can't be something you did begrudgingly or because you felt like you had to. It should be something that sounds like you wanted to do this for the customer, because that is what they are trying to hire, people who feel that way. Now, I can't tell you exactly what to say, because this is something from your background, but if you do those 3 things, you are going to nail it. Now, the next question is, tell me about a time you disagreed with a coworker. Another common question if you're going to be part of a team. They want to assess your conflict resolution skills, and this is a great way to do so. So again, when you're answering this question, you want to use the STAR method, situation, task, action, result. The second thing you need to do is it's really important you don't disparage or talk negatively about that employee. You guys had a conflict, but you don't want to sit here and go, yeah, I had a conflict with one of my past coworkers because they're really lazy. And they were always kind of a lazy person. They were the laziest, right? That sounds bad. So you don't want to do that. The third thing, whatever the conflict was, it shouldn't be a big issue. It was a small disagreement that is reasonable. Like anybody could find themselves having a disagreement like this with another person. It shouldn't be something outlandish that's going to make them question your judgment. You want to avoid that. And then the fourth and final thing is there needs to be an amicable resolution. Whatever the resolution is, whether you agreed with them or they agreed with your perspective, it needs to end peacefully so that they can see you're the type of person who can handle these sort of like interpersonal conflicts without it being a distraction to the overall team mission. If you do those 4 things, pick something from your background that meets those criteria, you're going to nail it. This next question is, describe a situation when you had to adapt or deal with uncertainty. This is a great question. It's not as common, but think about it. What they want to make sure is that you're someone who is open to change, because change is inevitable. It is constant. And they want to make sure that you're someone who, if they roll out a new system, a new process, you're not going to fight it, but but instead, you're going to be open to it. Okay, so when answering this, some of the same things: STAR method, situation, task, action, result. 2, it needs to be clear in your answer that you are very open to change. When management rolls out a policy, you are eager to embrace it, learn, and implement it because you understand that it's an organizational shift. The decision has been made, you're going to get on board. And then 3 bonus points, if you can talk about how then you helped other members of the team adapt to this change because you became comfortable quickly. My company rolled out a change. It was to do with ABC policy. I immediately understood the benefit to both us and our customers, so I eagerly embraced it and started doing it right away. And I felt like it was really helpful. Some of my teammates were having trouble adapting to the new system, so I worked with them to help get them up to speed, etc., right? That makes it look like you're someone who adapts easily and eagerly to change and helps their teammates. That's an ideal outcome for someone answering this question. Now, the next question that you're going to have to answer is, why do you want to work at Culver's? And I've got to say, this is maybe the most important question you will get asked. Because if you don't have a great answer here, they're going to hire somebody else who's equally qualified, but they answer this in a compelling way. And it's so important, I made its own video. It's video 3 in the series. So go watch this video next. I'm done here. I'll see you over there.